committed to planting in Chicago, and I had no idea what that was going to look like. Within a 3-mile radius, there's about 500,000 people who are poor and rich, and people who are black, white, Latino, Asian, all kinds of ethnicities, ethno-linguistic people groups. So we're really excited that we're planted kind of in the heart of such diversity. Our church right now, I would say, is 20% what I would call unreached, which I would define as somebody who's never heard the gospel before, never read the Bible, and never been to a church. 20% of our church congregation in Chicago, in America, is what I consider unreached, not unchurched, not unsaved. Like, they've never been to a church until they've been to our church.
God's interested in a church that will bless a city.
They're coming from all over the world, and every week I preach, I look out and I know that this is the first time they've ever heard the gospel in Chicago.
Okay.
And I had 2 students from China come up to me separately, they're not on their own. They said, "Pastor Dave, could you email us your sermon notes in advance? Because our English is not very strong, especially hearing Christian words. If you give it to us, we'll study it in advance so that when you preach it, we can understand more of it." They're not Christians. They've never been to church in their lives. And they're asking me for the sermon notes so they can study it before they hear the sermon. No Christian has ever asked me for that. These are people who are unreached, who are pleading with me. And so now I got to get my sermons done faster so I can email it to them so that they have time to study it.
God has wired me to love cities.
And I've been a pastor for many, many years, almost 2 decades now. I've never in my life seen that proportion of unchurched people coming to a church, ever. And I can only attest that to church planting. I see now how church planting is the most effective means to reach the unsaved and the unchurched and the unreached.